Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shandavadi Pasya Jadishitharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
distributor and editor for Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. After Prabhupada's departure, he spent years in preaching undercover in communist countries, risking his life. He is known for his ability to connect with all kinds of audiences, including academics, pious Indians, and young Westerners. Maharaj delivers lectures at several universities across the globe, such as Yale, Harvard, IIT, and many more. Maharaj is an author of Perfect Escape, Searching for Vedic India and Hiding in Unnatural Happiness, which sold over 500,000 copies. Currently, Maharaj serves as the GBC for Australia and New Zealand. And as an initiating guru, he remains a personal and inspirational figure, a revered mentor, and a spiritual guide to many followers across the globe. We are extremely fortunate to have Maharaj among us to give us his mercy and valuable association. Let's take this as an opportunity and greet Maharaj loudly by chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanandi. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Understanding Sri Krishna is the greatest goal in life. To understand the science of the Supreme, Bhagavad Dharma, we first have to fully accept that Krishna has potencies, opulences, and sweetness. How can you understand the supreme absolute truth? How can we understand what is the ultimate unless we understand the opulence and sweetness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The Shastra says Brahman is the greatest. But what is the characteristic of the greatest? If you've read Srimad Bhagavatam, at least the first canto, you know, first sloka, Janmadi Yasataha. The absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. Everything means everything. That means in Sri Krishna, the cause of all causes, Sarva Karna Karnam, you find everything within your human experience and everything far beyond our tiny human experience. All that must be there in the Supreme. Unless we know this science of the Supreme, we are sure to be bewildered in our attempts to be successful in life. We may have some temporary success, some temporary happiness, always mixed in with some distress and setbacks. And you say, that's life. That's what it is. But Krishna is offering you much better than that. Material nature will always go its way. Just like the winter and summer seasons, similarly happiness and distress will come into your life, sent by your karma. That's why in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Matra sparshas tu konteya shitoshna sukha dukkada. Happiness and distress comes and goes like the seasons. Someone who is dhira, someone who is truly pragmatic and practical, will tolerate the comings and goings of happiness and distress, just like you tolerate Melbourne's changing weather. How many of you fall to pieces and drop all your activities just because the weather changes? How many of you don't go to work because, it was hot, now it's cold? You go on with your activities in spite of seasonal changes, wild weather, whatever. Those who are equipped with Krishna Bhakti, they can truly tolerate the changes and disturbances of material nature because they have something better. Unless you have something better, you cannot give up your entanglement in the inferior. So how is it that Krishna is better? It's nice to believe in God. That is good. But better than believing in God is understanding the science of the Supreme, how Krishna contains everything. Without understanding Bhagavad Dharma, the science of the Supreme, how can you be strong in your spiritual goals? Unless you can see in Krishna everything, you'll be still attracted to material life because you think material life has something. Krishna is nice, but what I have right in front of my eyes, what I can grab onto with my hands, that is the substance of reality. Krishna is a belief, a nice belief. People think like that mistakenly because they don't understand the nature of the Supreme is to have potencies, energies, just like the sun has light and heat. If you don't understand light and heat coming from the sun, you don't understand the sun. But people want to believe in God with no understanding of his potencies, his energies, his opulences, his sweetness. In the Western world, there are 4 basic conceptions of what God is. This has been determined by Western theologians, Western experts in religious studies. First is the authoritative God, judging you at every step, ready to hit you with a thunderbolt at any moment as you tremble in fear. The second one is the benevolent God, who always forgives you, first time, second time, 100th time, who's your friend when you're lonely. And of course, we have a loneliness epidemic these days. You probably have heard the recent statistics for Australia. 40% of Australian adults say that the past week in their life, they have undergone poor mental health. 40%. That is a great tragedy. People have no stability without understanding this science of the Supreme. How Krishna has everything. Therefore, without this kind of knowledge, you'll be in anxiety pursuing the material energy. Think about it. How can you be peaceful by pursuing the material energy when you are spiritual? You ever thought about it in that way? There's a complete contradiction. How can you be peaceful, satisfied, and fulfilled chasing the material energy? You'll be full of anxiety, and that's what the latest social statistics show. And who is the loneliest, most troubled group? You would think the senior citizens, they're the most lonely. Or you would think the teenagers, they are the most bewildered. No, it's the young adults between the age of 18 and 30. Overloaded with anxiety, depression, loneliness. The age when you're supposed to be so successful in terms of your aspirations, your positivity, your 20s. In your 20s, you're supposed to be that. And now, whether in the USA, Australia, UK, that age group is the most troubled, the most lonely. The understanding of Krishna is so important today. You might say more than ever. So we were talking about the 4 types of God conceptions, dominant in the Western world. Number 1, the authoritative God, ready to zap you with a thunderbolt at every step, watching you, catching you at every step doing something wrong. And you're supposed to feel like sinners in the hands of an angry God. Here we are, putting forth Sachinandana, the God who dances. So number 2, remember the benevolent God. No matter what you do, he is your friend, he is your companion. He forgives you thousands of times, millions of times. And then there's the remote God. Number 3 is the remote God. He sets this world in motion and then lets you do whatever you want, but at the end, he judges you and smashes you. And then finally, there's the undefined God. God is light, God is love, God is truth, God is beauty. He's the lightest light in the darkest night, and he's whatever. All these conceptions are far surpassed by the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. When Lord Chaitanya is teaching Sanatana Goswami in Kashi, Varanasi, he explains that the Supreme Absolute Truth has opulences and sweetness, Aishvarya and Madhurya. How can the statement of the Bhagavatam be true? Janmadi yasataha. The absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. If there's no opulence and sweetness. But where do you get information of the opulence and sweetness of the Supreme? Yes, God is great, but how great? How can you understand the Supreme Absolute Truth? Why is it so relevant to your life? Your family persons, your working persons. How is it that Krishna is so relevant to you? Unless you understand the science of the Supreme, how Krishna has opulences and sweetness, Krishna will just be a conception to you. I've explained before about the first time I tried to study Bhagavad Gita at Yale University. I looked at the assigned reading, which Bhagavad Gita had been assigned for reading, and I purchased it at the university bookstore. I looked it over. In the front were verses, and in the back was this scholar's commentary. And I was stunned looking at the commentary, even though I knew nothing about Bhagavad Gita and nothing about Krishna. I read, Krishna is a concept meant to satisfy both the intellectuals and the sentimentalists. Something in me said, slam this book shut and toss it in the rubbish bin. And I did. I promised myself, one day I'll find a real Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has scientific characteristics. Swarajya Lakshmi. Do you know what that means? Krishna has unlimited desires and the unlimited ability to fulfill all of his unlimited desires. So some of you may know, I often ask the question, how many desires can you say you have? Let's start. Okay, number 1, I want lots of money. Number 2, I want a spouse who does whatever I say. Number 3, I want brilliant, obedient children. Number 4, a bigger house. Number 5, well, if not a Rolls Royce, then at least the top line, Tesla. And then you try to be a bit philanthropic and global in your desires. Okay, number 6, no more poverty in the world. Number 7, peace in the world. You're starting to run out of desires. You can't, it's hard to get past 10, right? Now just think about Krishna, infinite desires. How can you conceive of that? Not only infinite desires, but Swaraja Lakshmi means the infinite ability to satisfy, to fulfill every one of those infinite desires independently. What happens when you want to fulfill even one of your desires? You have to depend on others, right? You have to risk going outside of yourself. Can you help me do this? Would you please cooperate? Can I depend on you? And your attempts to be happy and successful always depend on circumstances. How's the weather going to be? How's the market going to be? What's the economy going to be like? So many externalities. And yet we like to feel that we are independent, when actually at every moment, every step, we're so bound up. So therefore, when we think about the science of the Supreme, we think of Krishna as, well, he must have no activities, no qualities, because every time we exhibit qualities and activities, we're always bound up, dependent, and there's problems. So Krishna must, since Krishna is problem-free, that means he has no activities, no qualities. But yet, here is Lord Chaitanya explaining to Sanatana Goswami the opulences and sweetness of the Supreme. You may know that Krishna is termed as Sad Aishvarya Purnam. He is infinitely full in all opulences. So what are the ways that the acharyas, the great predecessor saintly persons, analyze opulences, Aishvarya? They divide them in 6 categories. Krishna is unlimited, but just to get a grip on the science of Krishna, there are these 6 opulences: wealth, strength, fame, knowledge, beauty, and detachment. Krishna is infinitely deep in each one of these characteristics. When I first started reading Krishna book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in 1972, maybe 2 months after I graduated, and I read Prabhupada's opening words. He said, "Never have you ever seen anyone like Krishna, who is infinitely deep in all the 6 opulences. That is God." Lord Chaitanya explains that to go deeper in your understanding of Krishna, and bear in mind, it's very important to understand the science of Krishna, because as he says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo veti tattva. If you can understand the divine mystery of his appearance in this world and his activities in this world, then upon your giving up your body, you don't take another body. Mameti, you go to Krishna. And what is it like to go to Krishna? That's also a fascinating topic for us to understand. With knowledge, we can be motivated. Unless you understand Krishna, his activities, his qualities, his abode, his devotees, how are you going to actually give up your illusion of material existence? You won't. But when you see that there's better, then your self-interest principle takes over. Yes, I want what is better. So how is Krishna better? And how is he offering his devotees better? So Sanatana Goswami hears from Lord Chaitanya about Triyadishwar, the Lord of the Threes. This is Krishna making it easy for you to get a grip on him. He's the Lord of the Threes. The immediate understanding of the Threes is Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Krishna is the Lord of them. Intermediate understanding is the Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu, the supersoul of the entire material energy. Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, the supersoul of the universe. And Chirodakashaya Vishnu, the supersoul of all living entities in one particular universe. These Vishnus are expansions of expansions of expansions of Krishna. So Krishna is the Lord of Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. He's the Lord of these three Purusha avatars. He's also the Lord of the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, and Maheshdam, Lord Shiva's abode, which is in between the spiritual and material world. And then there's Devi Dham, the material world, run by Shiva's consort, Durga Devi. So this is a way to understand Krishna's sovereignty. Who is he controlling and what is he in charge of? But then there's a very confidential meaning of Triyadishwar. Go to the top of the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. And there you find Dwarka, Mathura, and Vrindavan. Krishna is the Lord of those three places on the topmost planet of the spiritual world. How big is the spiritual world? In just one corner of the spiritual sky, the Paravyoma, all the Vaikuntha planets and all the material universes can fit. Now you cannot even understand how many material universes there are. You can't count them. What to speak of how many Vaikuntha planets there are. The Vaikuntha planets, each one is immeasurable. But in just one corner of the spiritual sky are all the material universes and the Vaikuntha planets. But then the supreme Vaikuntha planet, Goloka, is bigger than all the material universes and all the Vaikuntha planets combined. Yet, in Vrindavan, as Krishna demonstrated to Brahma, all the universes and Vaikuntha planets exist in just one corner of Vrindavan. So how are you going to calculate Krishna's greatness? Even Brahma gave up. He said, people may say they know everything about Krishna. Let them talk. But as far as I'm concerned, I know everything about Krishna is beyond my body, mind, and words. That's the conclusion of Brahma, who is Adi Kavi, the original scholar of the universe. But understanding the opulences of the Supreme is not the everything. So while Lord Chaitanya is explaining these opulences to Sanatana Goswami, he becomes overwhelmed by thoughts of the madhurya, the sweetness. He goes from the Aishvarya Sagar, the ocean of opulence. He told Sanatana Goswami, I'm just going to teach you a drop of the ocean of Krishna's opulences. And as he's doing that, though, the sweetness of Krishna dominates Lord Chaitanya's mind. And the sweetness of Krishna means relationships. his beauty as perceived by his dearest, most intimate devotees. Krishna's beauty is always increasing in the eyes of his confidential devotees, and their beauty increases in the eyes of Krishna. It's a competition that goes on infinitely. You know, or you may have heard, how Krishna's intimate devotees curse the Creator. Why do we have only 2 eyes? 2 eyes are not enough to see the beauty of Krishna. How many of you have said to your spouse, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Why do I only have 2 eyes?" Anyone? Yes? Not only why do you only have 2 eyes, Krishna's devotees are criticizing Brahma. They're blaming Brahma for creating human beings with just 2 eyes. But not only are there just 2 eyes, but those 2 eyes blink. And while the eyes blink, you're missing out on seeing Krishna's beauty. How many of you have seen such beauty like that in the material world? That you can't tolerate it, that your eyes blink. One eye blink interrupts. You're seeing the beauty. And Krishna is like 24 and a half moons. His toenails, 10 moons. His fingernails, 10 more moons. His face is a moon. The sandalwood pulp on his forehead is a moon. His cheeks are 2 moons. And his forehead is a half moon, so 24 and a half. The more you become fascinated by Krishna's beauty, the more you understand there is scant value to the temporary beauty of the material world. But that same material world, which is so temporary and problematic, if it is engaged in Krishna's service, it becomes spiritualized. This is the great contribution of Bhakti Yoga, applied spiritual technology. Because even the material world, although temporary and an illusion, is Krishna's energy. For Krishna, everything is spiritual, but he has energies that can act in a material way. But for Krishna, there's no material energy. But he asks you to see the material energy. In Bhagavad Gita, he says, observe, there's a spiritual entity, spiritual energy, which is all living entities, and there is the material energy. He asks you to see that. And Krishna tells you, they're my energies. For Krishna, they're all spiritual, but he can arrange that his spiritual energy can act materially. Similarly, Krishna can arrange that his material energy acts spiritually. For those who want to know, that is the science of archana, deity worship. Krishna can arrange that what seems to be marble or brass is spiritual, because it's all his energy. And he can have his spiritual energy act materially. Once you accept that Krishna has energies, everything becomes clear. Otherwise, you remain bewildered. Like the greatest minds of today cannot understand what is the origin of this tiny universe. Krishna showed Brahma there are unlimited universes. But our greatest scientists cannot understand the origin of this tiny universe. What about life? There's no agreement today amongst material brains as to what is life, and certainly there's no agreement to how life originates. And then the third great mystery for those trapped in material understanding. What is consciousness? And how does consciousness evolve? No understanding. So the biggest puzzles you don't understand, yet you claim to be making progress. Meanwhile, the social statistics of your societies show the wheels are falling off the car. What to speak of the environmental devastation, political instability, economic uncertainty. Bhagavad Gita will teach you that all this is related to a lack of understanding the science of the Supreme. I was speaking last week at a university in New Zealand. I was astonished. I expected the usual turnout of 30 or 50 students. I gave them the topic, mind change, body change, climate change. Evidently, they thought it was very intriguing. 200 showed up, which for New Zealand, that's a big crowd. Of course, earlier this year when I spoke at Melbourne Uni, 400 students showed up. So there is a hunger for understanding. What is the root of all the massive problems affecting society today? Yes, we as Krishna conscious persons go to the root. Look at your ignorance. You don't know how this universe originated. What is the original substance? You don't know what is life and how life originated. You don't know what is consciousness, and it's consciousness that allows you to be aware of everything. If you don't understand what allows you to be aware, then you're not understanding what you think you're aware of, because you don't understand the medium through which you're being aware of everything. So this is the ignorance that is gripping the world today. So when we point to Krishna, we point to Krishna in the most scientific way. We take knowledge from Krishna about himself. Krishna gives us the process in order to experience what he's saying. And in this way, we make spiritual advancement the real solution to all the world's problems. Our individual problems, our global problems, our societal problems, our environmental problems. Krishna's got something to say in Bhagavad Gita about all that. So we want to demonstrate the success that can happen by following Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. And what is the ultimate success of this lifetime? That upon giving up the present body, you won't take another material body, you'll go to Krishna. And Krishna informs you of what it's like to be with him. And we are attracted to Krishna because he has opulences and sweetness. This is what everyone wants out of their own life. They look for this in the material world. They look for opulence and sweetness when Krishna is the unlimited source of that. So much of bhakti wisdom is about understanding Krishna in truth. Not just, I believe in God, I believe in Krishna. That's nice. But we want to be unlimitedly attracted to the Supreme Unlimited. And the Supreme Unlimited has unlimited opulence, Aishvarya, unlimited sweetness, Madhurya. The more we focus on the opulence and sweetness of Krishna, the more successful our life is. When Lord Chaitanya presented the sweetness of Krishna to Sanatana Goswami, the nectar became so intense that Lord Chaitanya, at the end of the conversation, wondered, how did I start talking about this? Have I been speaking such confidential truths? It must be that Krishna wanted to reveal himself to you, and therefore, even without my awareness, Krishna is presenting all this knowledge. This is what happens when the audience is qualified and the speaker is qualified. Then when there's talk about Krishna, Krishna is present. The more qualified the audience is, the more qualified the speaker is, the more you'll feel the presence of Krishna just in your talks about Krishna. Krishna Katamrita, the nectarian talks about Krishna. So real career success means to understand Krishna and become attracted to Krishna. Wasting this human form of life means simply being concerned with money, family expansion. But if we have Krishna in the center of our family life, and if we use our money-making skills to support the cause of Krishna, then even though you're in the temporary body and in the temporary material world, you're on the spiritual platform. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna is fighting in the battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is not a brahmachari, he's not a sannyasi, he's a family man, he's a military man. But because he's doing what Krishna wants for Krishna's pleasure, he's totally on the spiritual platform. So Krishna spoke purposely to Arjuna, a family man and a military man, not a sadhu, not living in a cave in the Himalayas. Just to show us so that we won't have any excuse. Otherwise we'll think, oh, Bhagavad Gita is just for the sannyasis. Or Bhagavad Gita is for when you're in your 80s, then you read Bhagavad Gita. No, Krishna contains everything, and by understanding the science of Krishna, you actually understand everything. Everything you need to know to make your life perfectly successful. So we'll stop here and ask if you have any questions. Yes. They're bringing the microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. Just got a question. You were mentioning about how Krishna can change material energy into spiritual, and you mentioned about Arjuna. But my question is the other way around. How Krishna can change spiritual energy into material energy or something?
For Krishna, all of his energies are spiritual. Parasha Shaktiya Vivadaiva Shruyate, the Upanishad said. He has multifarious energies. For Krishna, there's nothing material. Material means forgetfulness of Krishna. So Krishna has his spiritual energy acting in a material way for those who want to forget him. But for Krishna, there's no material energy. Because material energy means forgetfulness. Krishna never forgets. Unless it's for fun. Sometimes he acts like he doesn't know something just to relish the joy of problem solving. Because he has no problems, but he's the unlimited enjoyer. Buri Bhojan. So sometimes Krishna is wondering what to do next. But this is ecstasy. Just like people may have so much wealth in this world, they may have so much influence, but still they like to play puzzles, you know? Crossword puzzles, Rubik's Cube, something like that. For fun. Just see how I can solve this. So for Krishna, there's no forgetfulness. Sometimes it's asked, can Krishna create something that he can't solve? Yes, he can do it, and then he solves it. He's always expanding. So Krishna himself is amazed how his energies are infinitely expanding. His greatest puzzle is the love of Srimati Radharani. What is it like to be in her position? What does she taste? What's the sweetness she tastes in me? What's the happiness she feels in loving me? Srimati Radharani is Krishna's private internal pleasure potency. But Krishna says, I can't understand how she loves me. I can't understand her position. So does that mean there's something Krishna doesn't know? Yes, but then he takes the position of Srimati Radharani as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Radha Krishna combined. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the position of Srimati Radharani, so he can understand Srimati Radharani. So yes, there's something he doesn't understand as Krishna, but he understands as Lord Chaitanya. So that is why Lord Chaitanya is so important for our understanding of Krishna. I often explain, it's very difficult to understand Krishna without going through Lord Chaitanya. This is why even in India there's so much confusion about who is Krishna. Is he mythology? Was he a human being? Is he the Hindu forest love god? So many concoctions, so many misconceptions, because they're not going through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if you approach Krishna through Sri Sri Gaur Nitai, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, that's the easy way for successfully understanding Krishna in this dense darkness of the age of Kali.
Hare Krishna Maharaj ji, thank you for the lecture. I would like to ask, can you please describe your first meeting with Srila Prabhupada and how does it feel like to follow your Guru's instructions?
My first meeting, well, the first time I saw him personally.
First time you saw him personally and he gave you instruction.
His instruction he gave, he was speaking for everyone. If I tell you what he said the first lecture that I saw him, you might run away. Because I was always thinking, what is the solution to all the world's problems? And if I had any hesitancy in taking up bhakti, I was wondering, can it solve all the world's problems? So that was my mentality, because that was my ambition during my university days, studying with the biggest brains on the planet. I wanted to find the answer to all the world's problems. But I think if I told you what Prabhupada thundered the first lecture I saw him, you might run away. You sure you can handle it?
I want to listen.
You asked for it. I was sitting right in front of him. I had made a special effort to come to the temple to hear from him the first time. I wasn't dressed as a devotee. I had my Sai Baba hairstyle. Wearing the latest Manhattan fashions, New York City. When I went to his lecture, I made sure I didn't wear my long suede leather coat, Yavana style. I left that at home. I even made a special trip to one Indian boutique, and I bought a nice white embroidered kurta to go with the high fashion pants. So I sat before Srila Prabhupada, and he was speaking about the prayers by Queen Kunti. Very beautiful prayers, first canto. How many of you have read the prayers by Queen Kunti? Raise your hand. Very good. So he was lecturing about that, the Pandavas, Kunti Devi, Krishna, and I was sitting 30 centimeters in front of him, just fascinated. But I began to think, this is wonderful, but how can it solve the world's problems? And then Srila Prabhupada started thundering, if you're optimistic about material life, you're an animal. If you are a human being, you must be pessimistic. Only an animal is optimistic about material life. He just thundered this over and over again. I was in ecstasy thinking, this is the answer to all my university research. All right, you didn't run away. Srila Prabhupada was so scientific in the best way about what is the nature of this world. I didn't tell you how he ended, though. Yes, if you're optimistic about material life, you're an animal, but in Krishna consciousness, everything is optimistic. That's how he ended. Not too much for you? So you might say, how can you live life in this world if you're thinking so pessimistically? You're pessimistic about material life, but you're totally optimistic about your spiritual development. This is hard for a materialist to understand. To be a materialist, they say, you must totally absorb yourself in material gain, material indulgence, material profit, and be convinced this is the way. This is the goal. So often, young men your age are worried that if you start chanting Hare Krishna, you'll lose your competitiveness in the workplace. You'll lose your competitiveness at the uni. There's this fear that if I become too spiritual, I'll lose my grip on the material world and its success. But look at Arjuna. He has Krishna driving his chariot, and yet he's fighting brilliantly in the Battle of Kurukshetra. We have this paranoia that if I take up bhakti, I'll become useless, or at least I'll become less efficient, because I'll have my eyes set on the spiritual world and I'll lose my grip on how to deal with the material world. We have that kind of fear. But actually, someone who is Krishna conscious is the most expert at dealing with the material energy because he or she knows the source of the material energy and what the material energy is meant for. So the Krishna Bhakta can use money, technology, everything, all for Krishna's pleasure, and can use those things in the most brilliant way. So Krishna consciousness, bhakti, is for the most intelligent persons. Yet there's this perception that devotees are sentimental. Kamsa thought that, you know, Kamsa? When he was sending Akrura to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan to Mathura, Kamsa's plan was bring them to Mathura and then they'll be finished by Kuvalayapita, the wild monster elephant, or by the wrestlers. That was Kamsa's plan. So he needed Akrura. Remember? How many of you have read Krishna book about Akrura? Raise your hands. Kamsa recruited Akrura to go bring back Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. And Kamsa thought, I know just how to influence Akrura's mind. Akrura is one of those Vaishnavas, weak in intellect, very sentimental. I will present to Akrura a brand new Mercedes chariot. And because Akrura is one of those sentimental, weak-minded Vaishnavas, when he sees this brand new Mercedes chariot that I'm giving him for going to Vrindavan to bring back Krishna and Balaram on this fancy, top-of-the-line chariot, Akrura is going to be so overwhelmed. Oh, look at this Mercedes chariot. Oh, and I get to drive it. Sure, I'll do what you want, Kamsa. That's what Kamsa's thinking. But what is Akrura? What's Akrura thinking? I'm so glad you are giving me a brand new Mercedes chariot to bring back Krishna and Balaram, because I wouldn't want to seat them on any vehicle that you've already ridden on, you demon. And I'll happily bring Krishna and Balaram back to Mathura because I know they're going to finish you. So Kamsa is thinking one thing and Akrura is thinking the other thing. So even amongst our congregation here, there may be those who are worried, especially those in the 20s. They're worried about the job market, they're worried about the PR. And they're thinking, if we chant Hare Krishna too much, we may not be able to have the expertise to cope with the material energy. But actually, the Krishna conscious person is the most expert, as Arjuna demonstrates in Bhagavad Gita. How to use wealth, strength, power, family, all for Krishna's pleasure. Yes? Is that Romai?
Is Govardhan Hill a manifestation of Lord Krishna? And if he is, how did Govardhan Hill get cursed to shrink every year? If he is a manifestation of Lord Krishna, can Lord Krishna be cursed?
To ordinary vision, it looks like Govardhan Hill is shrinking, but actually Govardhan Hill is part of the topography of Braj. And that topography of Braj has no shackles of time and space. But to ordinary perception, it can look like Govardhan Hill is shrinking. It can look like Govardhan Hill was cursed to shrink. That's just like saying Krishna died when he was shot in the heel by an arrow. It's just stories just to pacify the materialists. Do you know about the nature in Vrindavan?
Yes.
What do you know? Once a devotee asked Prabhupada, we hear in Krishna Leela how Krishna wanders all over the Braj Mandal, but the Braj Mandal is so big, how does Krishna get back home in time for dinner? How does he cover such a huge distance? He's wandering way over here, wandering way over there. So Prabhupada answered, how does he get back in time for dinner? He takes big steps. All right, let's have a little kirtan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai. Jai Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai. Go Premanandi! Jai Om Suburbs 27th Sept, Sto Desert Sisi Madesi Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Maharaj to the Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Suburbs 27th Sept, Sto Desert Sisi Mad Bhakti Siddhanta Sasidako, Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki. ISKCON founder Acharya to the Prabhupada ki. Nam Acharya to the Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopagopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki. Vrindavan Dham ki. Navadvip Dham ki. Ganga Mai ki. Yamuna Mai ki. Tulasi Devi ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki. Gaura Premanandi. All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glories to Sisi Guru Gauranga. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, we'd like to thank you very much for the most enlightening class. Your wisdom and insights inspire us to deepen our practices in devotion life. We would also like to thank for the mesmerizing kirtan. It has uplifted our spirits and deepened our connection to the divine. We have Maharaj's books available, so kindly contact us. 2 important announcements before we serve prasadam. This Sunday on the 29th at 7:30 a.m. His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaj will give initiations at